Joining us now, he's a man who is one of only 32 people on earth to have the job that he has. He has a great southern drawl. I believe he's from the city that we will be in on Friday night. He's currently the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts team, a team that is built and stacked and ready to go. Chris Ballard. Yeah! Oh, what are you doing? Working out?
Let me tell you one thing that's great about Pat. You never got to worry about him overselling, ever.
Well, hey, this team's ready to win a Super Bowl. The team that this guy has constructed right here, it is Super Bowl or bust, which is where you want to be. You earn that pressure. No, but for real, here we are. Pretty good into your stint as general manager for the Indianapolis Colts. You've built up a hell of a culture, what you wanted to do. You've turned around the entire building from where it was to where you are now. You feel like you're there. Going into this season, there has to be very high expectations in the building and belief. But what's your mindset? You can't get too far ahead. You can't just think Super Bowl or bust. What is somebody at your job that I would never have, and I do oversell and overreact? What is your thoughts? Because you have to have successful expectations, but then you obviously can't get too high or too low. What is your mindset?
Well, I mean, look, our own, I think just the organization. Somebody called and asked me a question about Peyton the other day and what the expectations that Peyton set, when he became the quarterback here. And I think that's just transformed over. That's what the organization's expectations are. I mean, the expectations are to win. And there's a high level, and there's been a tremendous history of winning here. So those are the expectations. We understand them. And we'll do everything we can to make this city and state proud.
What about the expectations for Carson Wentz? You obviously brought him in. Everyone has a lot of high expectations for him. He came in and spoke with Pat in studio, was great. I guess, what are you expecting out of him this year?
He's a big son of a bitch. I did not expect that, Chris.
Do his job. We, much like with everybody else, just do your job, settle in, run the offense. We're not asking you to be Superman. There'll be some weeks where, we're going to ask him to make some plays that are unusual plays that only a few guys can make, but do your job. That's what we're going to ask him to be. Be the best teammate you can be, and, be the best you can be as a player and do your job, just like we do everybody else.
Okay, I don't know if you've heard me. All right, I assume you have. Pretty large show. Happens to be in the city that you reside. But, as a football fan and as a Colts fan, because of all the friends that I have in the building and wanting to see the city and them succeed, I've had my own thoughts about things, especially after watching last year with T.Y. potentially. Now, injuries happen, but with T.I. eating up a lot of the coverage, and you see a lot of these other teams that are having massive amounts of success being stacked at the weapon position. So, and I am, just like you said, a person that does overreact to things. I mean, I ride the wave there. So when I hear Julio is available, when I hear these, I start going crazy. I've listened to every interview you have had since then and since that move. You have a lot of faith in these weapons that you've brought in. I don't think we've gotten to see any of them, is basically what you have really told me because of situations. Is that how I should view this? And why am I so amped up on getting another superstar in the building, Chris? What's that all about with me, you think?
Well, it's not just you.
That's funny.
We think we got guys that can be superstars. Like one of the things that, like, people don't like the unknown. They don't like, at some point, guys pop up and they become great players. And I think we have a couple young players that can do that. We have a strong belief in Michael Pittman. He's a big, talented kid. I think if you watched, unfortunately, he had the shin injury last year that was a pretty severe injury, and he ended up coming back from, but still finished the season strong. We saw the start that Paris Campbell had last year, and it was really strong. He's got to stay healthy. He knows it. He's worked hard this offseason to get his body right so he can have a big season. And then the guy that, people just kind of brush over, Zach Pascal, but all he does is produce. He just goes out there and does all the dirty work, catches touchdowns, and produces. So we like the group as a whole. And then with TY, who we think, still adds a dangerous element to our team. Last year we finished second in the league in explosive plays. And, those were coming from somebody. Somebody was having those explosive plays. So
second in the league?
Second in the league with explosive plays.
Wow. Hey, who was telling you to get a weapon that you had to look up that? Was somebody, my wife, my kids keep telling me, will somebody give me this? Or is that just something as the season goes? Like, hey, we're pretty good at explosive plays.
No, we track it, and it's something that we track. But we also, look, you always want to add great players, but then you've got to be able to fit it under your cap and knowing that we have a bunch of really good players on the roster that we want to take care of and try to get their contracts done. It's a type wire. You're walking on a type wire, and you have to be able to balance it.
Is it hard, I guess, to stay away or not hear all the noise outside whenever you want to make any kind of decision? I'm sure there's things you could do that would pacify the fan base at times and make them happy for the short term, but hurt the team maybe in the long term, or you just can't work it out. Is it hard to sometimes, block that out? And can you see that being an issue for other GMs or owners around the league?
It's really hard, especially when your freaking kids are at home giving you shit about it. They want to know. They're on me as hard as anybody. So, but no, look, we have a way that we want to build the team. And Frank and I are very much in agreement on, the direction we're going and how we want to build it. And that, look, to me, that's everything. Because when your head coach and GM and owner are all on the same page, you don't worry about the noise. Look, do I hear it? Absolutely, I hear it. But, we believe what we believe, and we keep moving forward. And, I always laugh when people say we haven't made moves. Holy shit, we just freaking traded for freaking Buckner a year ago. We traded for Carson Wentz. So, we've done things here to make moves that we think make us better.
The salary cap's a big joke, isn't it? Hey, Chris, tell us straight, because you're one of the only people that we can really talk to about this and give us an answer. And this has been a big talking point for me, and I assume the NFL will figure this out. Ray Lewis at one point was utilizing deer antler spray, okay? And then people found out about it, and then they started testing for it. It feels like people are always trying to stay ahead of the game in any competitive thing. These salary cap loopholes that seem to be happening, is it a loophole? Is it not a loophole? Am I overselling what people are doing to hide money in places? And have you had to look into that what are your thoughts on the salary cap, especially with the year after COVID and into the future? Is there any gamesmanship that's going to happen? Because Tampa is somehow figuring out how to spend $10 billion, and Kansas City's figuring out how to do it. Are those loopholes? Is that specific situations? Will everybody be able to do that? Do you see any change in the future in the salary cap?
Eventually the bill comes due. Eventually the bill, it's the salary cap's real. Whether you want to push things down the line to balance, then eventually you're going to have to balance it out. But the salary cap's real, and you've got to be mindful of it, each and every year, or it's going to eventually creep up. All of a sudden you make a big deal for a player to get over the top, and a year down the line or 2 years down the line, you have young players that you want to extend, and all of a sudden you can't extend it, and everybody's asking, well, why can't you pay these guys? Well, for these other moves I've made down the line. So you've got to keep your eye both on the present and on the future of how you're building it. That's probably, I would tell you, that's probably the hardest part of the job. Because of the expectations, but the expectations we put on ourselves, our internal pressure to win, can't be greater than what anybody else puts on us. So it's just something you have to balance and measure out over time, and we have the right people in place to keep ourselves in check.
Are you negotiating with anybody right now, or is that always happening?
That's always happening.
Big ones, though? Are we in the middle of some big ones right now?
Well, what's your definition of big?
Well, I guess, hey, your next move is your best move and your biggest move because it's the next move. But you know what? Are there some pillars that are going to be locked down for some time here in the near future before season starts, or is that something that's going to potentially be down the line?
We hope so. We're working on them, and we hope we can come to some agreements here. We got some really good players here, and they deserve to be
highest paid guys. Hey, these guys. Hey, let's make sure we get these guys. All the money. Hey, these guys deserve it. No, I'm joking, Chris. Hey, good luck in that, by the way, because you've done great with these young guys. There's a chance that we could really get some pillars around here.
Yeah, you want to keep all right. So AJ played for Green Bay, where they were able to keep all their players and had a heck of a run. But they did it because they were very disciplined in free agency. Well, they were almost non-existent in free agency. I mean, we're more active than Ted was. But
True.
Look, they drafted well and they kept their players and they had a great run, which is still going on today. So we are probably a little more aggressive than they were in free agency doing some things, but we think their model was pretty good.
If you build it, it will come. We're talking to Chris Ballard, general manager of the Indianapolis Colts. He and I run our respective teams differently, but that is, he's in the NFL. Okay.
Well, let me ask you. I got to ask you this.
Okay.
Did you call Telesco today?
No.
Would Telesco have done this?
No. Yeah, you know what? Hey, you're 100. We had a late cancellation. I actually texted Chris from the bathroom earlier. We had somebody who's supposed to be on. They canceled. I go, Chris, I know it's vacation time, even though you're in your office. I know it's a downtime, even though you're in your office. Great to see, by the way. Great to see that. We should have talked about that. This is really the only time off for coaches and anybody before 6 months of Groundhog's Day basically starts. And you said for you anything, so I want to let you know. Hey, I appreciate the hell out of you.
Thank you, Chris.
What I did was I said, holy shit, I better get up to the office so they think I'm working.
Hey, you know the game. You know the game there. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Chris, how awesome is it to be able to draft a D-end in the first round and then just send the guy to the Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis pass rushing school?
Well, look, I mean, they set the standard. Those guys set the standard. And I always laugh when people just think we're going to just recreate that. You're talking about 2 Hall of Fame freaking rushers. And, you could go a lifetime and not have 2 of them. So, no, it's good. And the impact that, look, Freeney still, he talked to Quiddy already, and Robert will get his hands on him. So, no, they have unique perspective. And they're also two of the best to ever play.
Okay, so this is partially my fault because I talk about the Colts the most, and I seem to only talk about the potential moves that could be made. Let's talk about the moves that you have made. That Quiddy Pay draft is huge. Obviously, you lose Houston, but that defense you have, Darius Leonard, I think we talked to him last year, or maybe it was Kenny, I forget who it was, who said, I think it was Darius, if you're coming here, be prepared to work. Your best players seem to be your most hardworking guys. And on that defensive side, you gave up a number 1 for DeForest Buckner last year. He fit in right in time when he wasn't playing, by the way. Derrick Henry just ate. The pieces you have built in that team, hey, it has to be Super Bowl or bust. If that has to be whenever you're lay your head down on your pillow after your kids have already chewed you out for whatever move you made and everybody else is sleeping and you're getting ready to do the thing. It has to be exciting to see the team that you've built and you've kind of built it your way, right? Is that something you do, or you won't do that till you're done?
No, it's always great. This time of year is always great because everybody, they judge every move you made, and they've already got the season figured out for you. So I always kind of go back after the season and say, okay, let's evaluate the work we did, because you don't know. Do we feel good about it? Yeah, but look, there's 31 other teams that feel good about it right now and are telling their owners and fans that absolutely we're freaking ready to roll. I stay pretty calm, and I'm pretty patient, and I'm pretty sober during this time. And then once we get the season, through the season,
just start boozing.
We absolutely.
We're talking to Chris.
No, but it's such a week-to-week league, and the week-to-week reaction up and down is crazy. Let me tell you one of the best reactions I saw last year. Who gets it? After the week we played Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, he was on the show, and I thought Aaron said it best on your show. This shows I watch. This is an example of how I watch it. But Aaron said, you know what? We got beat, but we played well. I'm encouraged about where we're going. I don't know if everybody else and Green Bay fans were encouraged, because when you get beat, everybody gets in panic mode. But he had a great perspective on, hey, you know what? We played well. We just didn't win. That happens. And, and there's going to be weeks that you do play well and you don't win. And there's going to be weeks that you play bad and you win. And you probably didn't deserve to win. So you got to just play out the string, keep working and get through it. And week by week and keep getting better. And at the end, you hope you're in it at the end.
We were 2-14. 9 games, I think, were decided by 6 points or less, and we were a bad team. We could have, if we get a pick at a different time, or a potential ball pops out, or we don't fumble at one point, we would have beat some very good teams. The NFL, the parity is real between great, good, and bad. There's a very thin line. It's just whether or not your team will show up in those moments. And that's the culture thing, which is what you have built. So I'm pumped to see it continue to go. Go ahead, Ty.
Chris, speaking of Rodgers, obviously you guys are ecstatic with having Carson Wentz, but back last year, before you had Phillip Rivers, and, Tom Brady was a free agent, and there were reports that the Colts were one of his finalists. And then now with, Rodgers, everything kind of being up in the air, like how much would you kick the tires on both of those guys before you had Phil and before you actually acquired Carson?
Does this guy work for you?
Yeah, this is Ty. That's a great question. And, hey, that's a good question. That's a good question.
It's great. So, look, anytime a good player is available, we're going to research it. And you're going to have 31 other teams research it. We're going to do everything we can to try to get the best. Y'all could have answered this for me. You know what my answer is going to be.
Oh, this is going to stink. Your answer's going to stink? Come on. Hey, good question. Hey, Ty, that was good.
It's a great question. It's a better one when we're off the record.
Yeah, go ahead, Diggs.
Chris, you talked about how you do some things with the draft, you do some things with free agency. You like the Packers method. Steelers were also a team who builds through the draft. But then you have teams like the Rams, and we talk about team building a lot on this show. And you have teams like with the Rams who don't have a first-round pick for like the next 5 years. Do you, as a GM, judge other people's moves or just disagree with that type of philosophy? Or how's it go about the league when stuff like that happens?
No, there's different ways to build a team, and everybody has their philosophy of how they want to build it. And look, you name some teams that have been highly successful doing it completely different ways. The Rams are very aggressive, and I think one of the things that doesn't get said enough about the Rams is they do a heck of a job. Sure, they don't have first-round picks, but they do a heck of a job drafting with that second, and even if they don't have a 2, that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and those free agents. They do a heck of a job building a team, not having those high picks. So there's different ways. There's different ways to do it. But at the end of the day, you better have something you actually believe in, and then stick with it and move forward. And there's going to be pivot moments, and there's going to be moments where I'm not stupid, and most people aren't. Like when I know it's not working, all right, so maybe we need to reevaluate what we're doing. But the base fundamental of what we do and the core beliefs that we have are what we believe. And I bet if you asked all those other teams, they're going to tell you the same thing.
Hey, Chris, what's the best thing about being a general manager, especially for the Colts right now? Like, what are you going to miss whenever you're not doing this job?
I tell our guys all the time that, that's just a title, I don't see myself any different than when I was the area scout with the Chicago Bears. I just enjoy. I'm gonna tell you what. It's probably no different than it was for y'all. It's the team building. It's being around the people. It's the process. It's the figuring out the problems. Those are the things that one day when they kick me out of this league that I will really miss. And it's no different than that for y'all as players. Like when you're done, like everybody, sure you miss Sunday, but what you miss is the locker room, the camaraderie of the locker room. Well, it's no different. It's no different for me. I love the team aspect of everything that we do, and I love the building, the good and the bad. I mean, I like it all. There's nothing that I don't enjoy. I mean, I feel very grateful to get, number one, to get to be in this league, and number two, to have the job that I have. And I will never take a day of it for granted. I know the responsibility. We're just stewards for this organization, and I'll never take a day for granted working this job and with the people I get to work with. I'm very fortunate. The players I get to be around, the relationships we get to make, that last a lifetime. These relationships, I mean, that's the one thing I've never understood. Like, it's, being in this role, like I said, it's just all it is a title, but there shouldn't be walls put up between this office and the front office and the rest of the building. We can still have meaningful, real relationships. There's going to be times we don't agree. That's okay. Freak, we ain't doing it right if we don't disagree sometimes. But these relationships should go long further than just football. They should continue the rest of our lives.
With that answer, that Southern draw, the tan you have right now with the angelic light behind you, I mean, you might be president of the fucking NFL. I mean, that was unbelievable. Stewards of this organization. With that Southern draw, you don't expect ACT, SAT words like that. Chris, Jim's got a good one. I think he knows that. And I see you wearing that Wisconsin shirt. You're very thankful Jonathan Taylor is a Indianapolis Colt, huh?
Yes, I am.
He's unbelievable. Hey, he is. Now with Nyheim Hines, hopefully he's healthy whenever he gets back. Marlon Mack, that backfield that Carson's potentially going to be able to play action and utilize is a huge thing too that, we don't talk about enough whenever we see, the aside from guy Julio Jones available. But legit, Jonathan Taylor, home run hit there for you, pal.
Very talented runner. Our scouts did a tremendous job. Tyler Hughes and Kevin, they did a tremendous job scouting him, and we got lucky enough to get him. I'll give Mr. Irsay credit. I'll never forget y'all heard it if you listen, on the show our organization does. But I remember Mr. Irsay, a couple picks before, we're bantering back and forth, and he just, Chris, y'all like Taylor. Go get him. Okay.
All right. I know what that means. Sure. I am a steward of this organization, but there's a guy that saw Jonathan Taylor run in his own stadium a couple times there at the Big Ten Championship. He has been awesome, as have you. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
What was that B- players A+ money quote you gave out? You know what I mean? Like, who is that about? You dogging people out there right now? Is that what that was? That a shot at people? That's what people were saying.
You were an A+ player, Pat.
I agree, but is there anybody that potentially? No, I'm joking. All right, Chris. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, general manager of the Indianapolis Colts, Chris Ballard. Thank you, Chris.
AJ, when are you going in? Are you in the Packer Hall of Fame yet?
No.
Travesty.
What?
No, it'll happen. I just was
Give some
thinking about
insight?
it because, Al Harris is going in. I don't know if you know. I coached and recruited Al.
I played with
in
Al
college.
when
Yeah.
I first got in the league. Yeah, Al was the man. Where's he coaching now?
He is with the Cowboys. He's with Dallas.
Oh yeah, he went with Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Al
Big
was
Mike.
absolute lockdown corner. Did not want to play zone ever. He was a fun teammate too.
He didn't want to play it in college either.
He had dreads, right? Long dreads.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was.
Yes.
Was he the one that picked off Hasselbeck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a hell of a play there. Obviously, he had many more. He's going into the Hall of Fame, huh?
And in the Green Bay's Hall of Fame, and it just made me think about AJ. When your time's coming.
What do you think about AJ? Chris, were you with the Bears when AJ was playing? This guy, no concussions, no mouthpiece, vaporized the tooth on a tackle, 4'4", 40-inch vertical. This guy, torn pec, hamstring, groin, missed 5 surgeries on his knees, missed 1 game, Chris. This doofus that we do a show with every single time. One of the greatest athletes of all time. Chris, you were in the league when he was there?
He was a great player. And that was a huge rivalry. And unfortunately, I don't know, what was your first year? 2004?
2006, actually. Hester's first year in Chicago.
That's right. Yeah. So 5 and 6, we whipped y'all's ass.
Yeah, Hester took one back on us like his first game.
Yeah, but then, unfortunately, the tide turned.
Hey, Chris, I want you to say this, and this is not putting down anybody else. Okay, this is not putting down Carson Wentz. But that Aaron Rodgers situation, he's one of the Mount Rushmores of football, right? Like, isn't it crazy that, and Peyton said this in an interview, Peyton said it's 3 weeks till season. I don't know how isn't it crazy that it can get to that point? And that's something that could happen in any NFL building, I guess, at any time whenever you're talking about talent and respect and legacy and all that shit. Like, is that something you watch and you're like, okay, we got to stay away from this type of situation? Or are you kind of keeping your head out of that completely?
I keep my head out of it and just thank and very thankful that he's not in our division and I don't have to play against him twice.
Hey, unless fucking Urban Meyer gives a call.
Uh-oh.
Trevor Lawrence. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Ballard. Thank you.
Be good.
See you, man. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
That Southern draw.
Hey, he will answer texts that I send him too that are like, "Come on, dude, what are you doing?" He's like, "All right." That's
Calm down.
I guess his kids, they bought a McAfee jersey at an auction, and they while I was going through the whole thing, and they put it in his office for him to see.
Nice.
He took a picture of it, and he said, "Look at this bullshit." He said, "Here you are yelling at me every day, and my kids just bought your jersey or whatever." It's he's a good guy, man. He's a dude that you would want to work with. You know, that throw the title aside, I'd like to be on a team with that guy, I think.
Oh, yeah, and I talk about it a lot, how I think I even asked him one time when he was on the show how a lot of GMs don't want to develop too close relationships with players because they know they're going to cut them. But Howard even said, like, no, I think there's a balance. I think I can still have relationships, and we all know how it goes. So, I think he's doing it the right way.